Okay, so you set up your rules, which has told the software what you want to trade. So now you're going to tell the software how to trade those selections based on the market conditions at the time. Another way of saying that is that the horse selection rules, by and large, contain the more static features of a race. So these are the things that you can kind of use to rule out races and horses up front, and they don't really change during the lifetime of the market, with a few exceptions maybe. The betting rules deals with various constantly changing market conditions so that you can find the right combination of price and time conditions under which to place your bets, so that you can make sure you're entering and exiting at the right times. This section also deals with any particular staking plans you want to set up and gives you a couple of options for how to display all those lovely back-tested profit figures when you run the strategy. If you think about it, even if you've spotted a selection that looks good when you're doing your trading preparation, you're still going to be checking whether the conditions are right to trade that horse when the time comes. So a horse might, for example, look like a good laying opportunity if it's lost every race that it's ever run, but if its odds in the current race are 1,000 to 1, then there's not actually any value there because everyone already thinks it's going to lose. So this is all about what price that horse has. Are you trading pre-race, or are you waiting until the start of the race to open your trades? Are you doing a straight bet, or are you going to try and exit for a certain number of ticks or a certain odds movement? Are you going to use a stop loss? So these are all the kind of questions that you'll answer in this section. You might not know the answer to a lot of that stuff yet, which is fine. We've put some reasonable defaults in wherever we can, and beyond that, you can just guess, and the software will give you some guidance once you see the results, and you can then come back and refine things as you go. So there are 4 steps in this section. Firstly, every bet or trade involves placing at least one bet, which is kind of obvious, but obviously you have to be in it to win it, and this first step, place your bets, is the one where you'll set up that first bet. You're essentially setting up a combination of entry criteria, which all work together to determine exactly when you would have placed each bet and what price you would have got. When I say would, I mean when we backtest your strategy against our past results. These settings in this section all work together. The software knows the price history for every horse in every race, and it will use all these settings to find the first traded price that meets all these conditions at the same time. So we're trying to calculate your actual entry price for a given trade on each specific market, because then we can put all these trades together at the end and say, if you traded this strategy in this way over the last X races, here's the profit you would have made. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here, trying to simulate what you as the trader would have done. If you're just straight backing or laying, you're basically done with this section. But in case you're not, the second step, close your trades, is all about setting up your exit bet. If you're trading, every trade involves basically a pair of bets. For example, if you're doing back to lay, then you'll place a back and then later you'll place a lay. So step 1 is going to be where you set up the back, and step 2 is where you would set up the lay. This section is optional, and if you're doing straight set and forget backing or laying, then you can ignore it, like I say. This third step, build your bank, deals with the size of your stakes pretty much, and again, this section is optional because we've assigned some reasonable defaults that are basically appropriate to anyone running a strategy for the first time. It's the kind of stuff that you'll only want to delve into when you're tweaking new iterations of your strategies, really. So again, only this first step, place your bets, is compulsory in this section. These settings in Build Your Bank all basically you can control how big your stakes are on each bet and therefore what profit you make. The defaults will basically see you betting £1 flat stakes at Betfair's default 2% commission, which is the default, I think, for most people now. So these are perfectly reasonable for testing a strategy. This final step, customize your results, is another optional one, really. It lets you customize the way your results are presented. You've seen that you can easily switch between steps by clicking the step header. There's no particular order you need to do things in here. You can configure each one, whichever one you want to do first, and jump around as much as you need to. Once you're in the step that you want to work with, just click anywhere along the row for each setting, and that setting will then expand, giving you a small prompt on what to do on this section. And then you'll find drop downs, text boxes, and so on that you can fill in to define your parameters. Once you're done with each setting, you can either click the row again to collapse it, or just click the next one that you want to work with. Notice that you then get a nice plain English description of what you've configured in that setting, so once you've finished, it's easy to see how your strategy is going to behave. Each setting also have an info button, which you can click to get a longer description of how to use it, as well as, in most cases, a short tutorial video for those of you who are more visual learners. As you can see, we haven't published a video for this one yet, but you should see it by the time you watch this. So this video is just a brief overview of what this whole section is all about. As I said, I've broken the detail down into separate videos for each setting in the betting rules, so take a look at the others now. It's probably worth following them through sequentially the first time you do this, but after that you can just refer back to any specific option that you need a reminder of.